Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Surface of the Sun. As always, I am your host, Graham Cracker. Now, over the past few days, I have complained about my graduation ceremony and the process to be able to go to my graduation ceremony. Today, I have something to complain about that was more on the lines of what I needed to qualify for both of those. That was my school attendance. Oh boy, do I have pent up feelings about how my school handled its attendance. Now, as with any school, you actually need to go to the school and have attendance in order to graduate, because if you don't have any attendance, they're not going to let you graduate if you never actually went to the building, even if you have like all hundreds in your classes. And the typical margin, I think, is a 90% attendance rule, which means you have to be in school 90% of the time that your classes are going on. Otherwise, they're going to just flunk you out of your school year. This specific story happened in my senior year. So there were a few extenuating factors. First of all, senioritis is a real thing, it's not a myth. I had zero motivation to go to any of my classes. Second was it was the year after quarantine online learning, where school couldn't really take any attendance, and the way that it worked was really weird. So they were really cracking down on attendance rules. They eliminating any form of loophole that could possibly exist in their system. So, where did this come in with me? So there were a few times during the school year that I had to not be in school. Believe my cousin had a wedding. I had other family matters that I had to attend to. So when those would happen, we would mark my attendance saying, okay, I'm not going to be in school today on these specific dates, because we had an online system where we could mark our attendance online rather than going to an attendance office and saying, giving a note saying, oh, I'm not going to be here on these days. No, we did it online. So I found out later that even if you do it online, they don't actually care if the absence was excused. Because if it's excused, they're like, well, you still weren't here, you deviant. So I was in a situation where I had at that point that I realized that's how it worked. I'd already lost like 8 hours of attendance and was already in violation. Of course, the funny thing is, they didn't tell me I was in violation until like 3 weeks before the cutoff for my attendance for the semester. So there's that. Another thing that I learned along the way is something to do with doctor's notes, and going to medical office, anything of that sort. That if you don't actually bring back a note or prove that that is where you were, they actually just count you absent for the entire day, not just like the class you missed. Because in their mind, you skipped, which means obviously you don't deserve any attendance for the whole day, which is just kind of how that system worked. We're like, okay, but we're doing this online and it's not happening. And we're asking, we found out that they're not actually looking at my online attendance. They didn't even like factor it in as a thing. So I'm sat here by the time that they're telling me, and they're telling me, you need to make up 26 hours, where at least half of that were times that it should be excused, but they just didn't check online to like know that, hey, I wasn't gonna be here. But no, I was a deviant because they didn't decide to check online. I had to like complain to their like staff management multiple times. It wasn't just like I complained once, say, hey, can you check this? Every time they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we'll check that right away." But it took like maybe 4 or 5 separate complaints before they started actually checking it. And it was the most infuriating thing in the world. And it didn't just apply to like doctor's notes. It could apply to sick days or times that I just had to miss a class. There was a time that I got into an accident in a parking lot driving to the campus. So I had to deal with that, couldn't make it to my English class. But I sorted it out in time to go to my last class. I'm like, okay, I might as well go to my final period. So I go there. They counted me absent for that one because I was absent the class period before that. And clearly, my attendance, anything after that, wouldn't matter. They did that for all of any day that I was sick, and decided, oh, I'll just hit these final classes. Yeah, those don't count. Because if you miss one class and it's unexcused, they like unexcuse you for the entire day. Again, by the time they told me it was 26 hours to make up, and I'm confident like 6 to 7 of those were like I was actually at those classes. I didn't actually miss them. I did the work for them. But they just didn't care at all. And I was sitting there frustrated out of my mind that I had to then from that point spend roughly the next 2 weeks every day after school. I had to spend my time in detention or I would fail. And that's really all I have to say. It was just a really infuriating system that was obviously designed because it was the year after quarantine that a lot of people were of this mindset of like, oh, school attendance is really malleable. So they not only did they cut out the loopholes, they cut out any slack that there was to be had with their attendance system, and it was just really annoying to have to make up all of those hours. I spent so much time in detention. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's it. You can go. Close the door on your way out.